Major League Journeymen, we have a special subtraction for you. Gordo is out, thankfully, but you know what? We brought in some real talent. Bradley Wright-Phillips is joining us, the New York Red Bull star and premier attraction of MLS's Apple broadcast. Chopping it up to talk a bunch of things, but then we're also going to chat about the Club World Cup and maybe some of Dax's misses on some analysis, and we're going to get into the U.S. Guatemala game around the corner, Gold Cup semifinal. Pumped. Vamos, Estados Unidos. Let's go. Finally, we have some talent here. We got BWP on the mic in the home studio. Bradley Wright-Phillips, thank you very much for joining myself and your former teammate, current teammate, Dax McCarty. We love to have you, man. What field, what studio did you just walk out of to walk into here? Where are you coming from?
I'm coming from Red Bull 2, actually. Every now and again.
Red Bull 2.
Yeah, every now and again, I'm an assistant coach of Red Bull 2 when I have time, like 2-3 times a week. I try and get in there, help the young kids. And first of all, let me just pull you up on a little lie. Don't say finally, you've got me in here. Dax got my number. You can get hold of me. You guys have been ducking me.
You know what? Hey, listen, that wasn't a shot at you. That was saying we don't have enough talent in here. We finally got some high-level talent. We got a heavy hitter. We got BWP in the building.
I've been available for months.
No, you know why you've never been on is because I know you only agree to do 15, 20-minute segments, okay? Every other person we've had on this pod has been with us for like 45 minutes, and I know you won't commit to that, okay? So now we just needed to get you on. We agreed to the 15 minutes. That's what we did, Gargs. We subbed out Gordo, who's camping and like fighting bears out in the woods somewhere.
Yeah, where is he? I wanted to speak to him too.
Nobody knows. He's walkabout right now, man.
Wow.
Hey, but listen, you just came from Red Bull 2 training. So not only have you played for Bob Bradley, you are now coaching with Michael Bradley, the Bradley brothers. I mean, can you kind of talk a little bit about what that's like, some similarities, like what you see from Michael in his first week or two on the job?
Outside of the haircuts.
I got the same haircut though, so I ain't going to talk rubbish about that. No, listen, honestly, I've only ever played against Mike, you know what I mean? And you speak before or after a game, so I didn't really sit down and talk to Michael. But the first day I actually spoke to him, met him properly, it was like talking to Bob. And I say that with the highest compliment because I like Bob. Bob was great with me in LA when I was at LAFC. Michael has come in and he's just the enthusiasm, you know what I mean? Attention to detail, how clear he can paint pictures for the players. He's been brilliant. Good to have around the office. I'm not there as much as I need to be for him, but he's handling things really well.
Yeah, man.
Dude, love having you in the setup on the touchline. I didn't realize that.
He's helping Red Bull too. Why you think they have kids like Mohamed Sofo balling out right now? 5 goals on the season. He's learning from the best.
Keep it a secret. Don't tell anyone, man.
Don't.
Brad, when did you retire?
21. End of 21.
End of 21. So it's so funny because when I think about you and how well I know you when we were teammates, one of the most, I describe you as like a humble superstar, like one of the best players I ever played with, but someone who will never, ever, ever talk about themselves, no matter how great of a season they had or how great of a player they were. But the one thing about you is that you're more of an introvert. You're a little bit more quiet until you get to know someone, then you really come out of your shell. But if you would have asked me, what would Bradley Wright-Phillips do when he's done playing soccer? I would have.
What would you said?
I think coaching and media would have probably been like
opposite.
25 and 30 on the list. I feel like I would have said, okay, he's definitely going to become a grime rapper, 100%. That's his thing. Okay. Maybe he'll move back to England. I don't know, but it's so funny that now you're coaching and you're doing media. Talk us through a little bit about maybe what happened at the end of your career, how the Apple deal came about for you to get into the media game.
I got a crazy story actually about getting into the media game. But you're right, Dax. I feel like I am a person that's to myself. I don't really want to be out there. So it doesn't really make sense that I do a grime battle, that I'm on TV now. Do you know what I mean? But
did Stormzy not respond to the text or what? What happened?
But I think what it is that's probably something I try to fight about myself. Like, be more out there, be more outgoing, put yourself in situations where you're not comfortable with. And I think the older I got, the more I wanted to put myself in those situations. But honestly, when it came to the Apple gig, Daxie, I promise you, I didn't know who was running the show. Yeah. I messaged Don Garber. I'm like, yo, I need to get on the phone with you. Now I look back 3 years ago, the audacity
to do that. That's
to reach
incredible.
out to Don Garber. That shows you how much I didn't know anything. I'm like, I'm gonna go for the top guy. I want in on this.
He just
I know
Googled
who's
Don
got an
Garber's
answer.
email.
Don.
No, I had his number. Some of us, Dax, we have his number, you know. So
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. Perennial
Not me.
All-Star, Golden Boot champ, dude.
Yeah.
That's
But that's how I got
incredible.
into it. That's how I got
I
into
love
it.
it.
Spoke to
I
the
love
right
it.
people.
What have you seen from the progression from year one to now? You're in year 3 of it right now.
Yeah.
The studio was in Manhattan. It was at I think it was the old BET studio, right?
Yeah, it
And
was
now
nice.
we've moved out to Stamford, Connecticut. What has the evolution of that been like from
Wow.
year 1 to year 3?
Night and day. And I don't even want to be rude because it was my first gig. I didn't
Yeah.
know any better. You know, there would be people complaining, but for me, I was like, hey, man, it's a nice studio. I'm talking about football. I'm good. But there were a lot of
Yeah.
things that we needed to wrinkle out. You know, we needed to iron out a few wrinkles. We didn't really have the format of the show. We were standing a lot for 360. Imagine that. You do 360 now, Dax. Imagine just standing in the middle of the set and just looking at a big screen and talking about games.
We moan about the AWOL when we got to be up standing for 5 minutes.
Exactly. So we were doing that for 6 hours, just standing up. And then obviously the new people have come in, yourself, you know, a lot of new analysts are coming. So it's changed in a way to where we have I think when you turn on 360, you know what to expect now. I think a few years ago, you wouldn't know what you're going to expect. So I think we're growing as analysts with the show. It's still people forget, you know, I've seen sometimes we get a little bit of criticism, but it's 3 years.
Yeah.
It's 3 years, you know. When is it? Yeah, like 2 or 3 years. 3 years now.
This is the third year, I believe.
Third year. You're not even through 3 years yet, and you guys are all, I mean, young in the broadcast game, right?
Exactly.
Like, young, not even vets there.
No,
What's it like, Brad? You got 3 ex Red Bulls, right?
Yeah.
2 teammates alongside of you, and I'm not.
Yeah.
That's not shade. I'm asking, what's it like to be back in essentially like a team setting with those guys again? Like, how does that feel? Is it the exact same? Is it different? Like, what's it? Give me a little color there.
It's the exact same. It's like, God, for you, like there's probably friends that you got that you grew up with that you know you're very close to them, but you don't have to speak every day. And as soon as you see them or as soon as you speak, it's right back to where it was. And that's why I feel like the studio is with us. Luckily for me, like Dax described me in the beginning, I'm not the most outgoing person. So I don't know if I survive in the beginning without Sasha and then Dax coming in. And then we've been really lucky with Kalen and Kev too. So selfishly, it puts me in a good spot. I have my ex-teammates and then I have 2 great personalities to just where I can just almost be myself.
When people ask me what it was like for the transition, right? I say, I just genuinely don't know if it could have been any better or easier for me because it was like I was walking back into an old locker room again with old friends. I mean, we did wrap-up show last night, Gargs. We were giggling like school
like children.
Just when we were analyzing stuff, but we were also having fun.
Yeah. I need to watch that back.
I think we're really coming into our own. It feels really good. And before we move on from the Apple stuff, I got a quick story about when me and Brad were at Red Bull together. We went out for a nice dinner with our lovely wives, Leanne and Jen. And we were talking about, for some reason, post-playing career stuff. And I kind of mentioned, man, I really think that it would be cool to do the media stuff. I see the league going in a really cool direction.
Yeah.
I think I want to start to focus my energies and my passions and maybe putting all in to the media game and seeing if I can kind of become the best analyst I can be. And Brad was like, I think that would be cool. You know, even when I say he is an introvert, and he has one of the best eyes for the game that I've ever seen. And especially when it comes to breaking down attacking plays. He was always helping younger players at training. And that dinner, we actually spoke about how cool would it be if one day we had a show together or one day we worked in media together when we were done playing. And honestly, the fact that it actually happened, Brad,
it's crazy.
It almost feels like a dream that you're like, how is this possible? Because we spoke about it. It's almost like manifesting destiny. I'm getting deep here, but I don't know if you feel the same way or you remember that conversation.
I do, and I do remember that conversation. And it's funny because even before that conversation, when I get over here, I'm always thinking this place needs a match of the day. And I know 360 isn't that, but the wrap-up kind of is that. And I always thought we need a match of the day. And obviously, you're a great personality, Dax. You're a guy that can talk to a tree. You know what I mean? If you go outside, you can entertain a tree. So, I remember the conversation. And it is weird how we end up in this place. We get to grow together in this space. It's really good. I'm excited for what the future holds, if I'm being honest.
Before we move on, Brad, from the media stuff to some other stuff you've been doing recently as a social media influencer that you are.
Big content guy.
You're from, it's well known, you're from a pretty famous family, just a couple unbelievable footballers. Sean Wright-Phillips, your brother, he came over, played with the Red Bulls with us.
Yeah.
He's actually my favorite, Wright-Phillips.
That's a
But
cool guy.
anyways,
That's a cool guy.
he's the coolest guy ever, honestly. And he's
Mhm.
way more fun, better dancer than you. I don't know. I'm still
That's
cool
not
with you,
true.
whatever. But hey, and your dad, Ian Wright, is like big in the media game now, and Sean's big in the media game now. Feel like it runs in the family.
Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice that either Sean or your dad gave you when you were kind of getting your feet wet in this?
Yeah. You know, we're a family of very few words. And
Yeah.
I get the same
Mm.
advice, you know, with the TV work and football. I'll say both actually. When it comes to TV work, my dad especially was just like, be yourself. And that didn't hit me until I actually got on set. Because
Yeah.
people don't understand how hard it is to be yourself when there's like 6 cameras in your face, the
Yeah.
producers in your ear,
Yeah.
you know, you got information to take on from the TV. It was like a lot for me. And for a lot of my first few months, I wasn't being myself. I was trying to sound like everyone I heard. And then after a while, I
Mhm.
said, it doesn't matter if I mess up, just make sure you're getting Bradley. Because if
Yeah.
I'm talking to you guys right now, I might mess up, but you know what I mean? We're having a decent conversation. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're talking about football. And for TV, yeah, it was just be yourself. Try and bring Bradley into every moment, into every time you're analyzing, and you'll be okay. And football was the same.
Yeah.
Whenever I got down, whenever I couldn't, you know, I felt like I weren't hitting the back of the net, I'd speak to my dad and it was hit the target.
Yeah.
Because as a player, you will go through and try and find the bottom corner. You want to be precise.
Yeah.
But how many goals do we
Mhm.
see that don't really go into the bottom corner?
Mhm.
It's about how many goals we seen this weekend that just you shoot through legs and you get a goal.
Exactly.
So every time I'm just trying to hit the target, maybe people are questioning, oh, he still hasn't scored. But for me, it's like a little win. So hit the target was like one of my the best advice I had from my dad and something you'll hear me say a lot on TV.
Brad, you're talking about hitting the target. I love that. I mean, that paints a step forward for you, right? And you're taking steps in the analysis and in studio and finding your voice, which takes some time because
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, you got a lot more clothes on when you're doing the wrap-up show than when you did just shooting the shit in the
Yeah.
locker room, right? And
Yeah.
you can't talk the same way, but you have to convey that same personality,
Yeah.
which takes some time. When you guys think about Apple right now, what I would be very interested to hear is where do you feel like you want to improve? Like what changes in year three for you and Dax and Sasha that you guys prioritize?
I think for me, I can't talk for Sash and Dax. I think Americans in general are great speakers. For me, I need to learn to slow down a little bit, you know, get my thoughts together. My prep could always get a lot better. There's some weeks I'm
Mhm.
really good with prep, and there's other weeks, you know what, I say, you know what, I might freestyle this. And I don't ever want to be in
Yeah.
situations where I'm like, I want to freestyle. I want to prep and I want to slow down a little bit. And just continue to have fun. Honestly, if you know me, God, I'm not a man that takes myself too serious. So I don't want to get into a
Mhm.
place where every year I'm saying, I want to be the best at this. I just want you to maybe not like me, but you see Bradley. You see the people
Yeah.
that my kids see at home, my wife sees. That's who I just need you to see. And after that, you make up
Yeah.
your own mind.
Brad, I
Yeah.
gotta say, wait, hold on, guards. We did Sunday night soccer, Brad and I, last night. Literally, I just got back down
A
to
few
Cape
hours ago,
May,
just a few hours ago.
just a
Yeah.
few hours ago, literally at home. And during the game, there was a lightning delay. It was Columbus and Philly, and this is the
Uh-huh.
first time this has happened
Yes.
on Sunday Night Soccer. And our producer comes into the green room because usually we just have to do halftime. We do
And then we,
pregame,
yeah.
halftime, and that's it. Our producer comes into the green room, guards, and he goes, "Hey guys, by the way, if there's a lightning delay here, you're gonna have to go on camera for 30 minutes and just kind
Yeah.
of freestyle." And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
me and Brad, it's
Yep.
so funny because we talked before the show, like, man, like our prep, I feel like maybe our prep can be better, whatever. But it's Brad said it's about that balance. You don't want to
Yeah.
be over
Mhm.
prepared.
Yeah.
And I felt, Brad, honestly, I felt like those 30 minutes, while it was a little bit, it was kind of painful to just keep going,
Keep going,
talking
not
through
knowing when
things.
you're gonna end. That's the
I
worst.
felt I love the
Mhm.
Yeah.
conversation
It
because
is
we
tough.
we had we were just using our
Yeah.
inherent knowledge of what we see. We
Yeah, it
we
was
don't
good.
we don't have, we didn't have a rundown. We didn't have a script, and we were
That's
just
my
Right.
story,
flowing.
bro.
Right.
That's my
Yeah.
story. No rundown, you're gonna get
Yep.
Bradley. And I think you're
Yeah.
right. That
Yeah.
yesterday we dealt with that well. We went back and forth, got our nuggets out. It was really good.
Yeah.
I saw you played in the Showdown
Oh, amazing.
again, and that for me is one. I was pumped to see Martino and Nash bring it back because
Yeah.
it was such a cool event for the years that they had been doing it,
Yeah.
and for them to take a step and revitalize it. I loved seeing you there. I want to hear from your perspective participating in it. How cool is it now? As a media member, former athlete, to go in and jump in, which I saw kids out there on the courts, and
Yep.
just it seemed like the energy was incredible.
For what you just said in the last sentence, I think for me, First of all, great job, Steve Nash, Carl Martino, even Teresa Tran for like inviting me down there. They're doing an amazing job. I think it's a culture that's in New York and in America that we don't often touch on. So when you see a bunch of people from all different places going to New York to go and play football against each other just for banter, just to embarrass the next guy, just to win, just to get a little laugh is amazing. I'm glad I went. Dax will tell you, I'm a very hard guy to convince to come and play football. I would always choose staying at home and maybe having a red wine.
He could pop a calf in open cup.
I might pull my calf. But yeah, the event itself, God, it was amazing. Honestly, I can't wait till next year. I hope I'm invited. I hope I've done enough to get the call back next year. But
and maybe Steve will remember that we're friends and reach out to me and invite me, because I guess my invite got lost in the mail.
I'll let him know.
Brett,
I'll send him a text and let him know.
Let him know. All right.
Wait, was there a better highlight than the Mehdi Ballouchy double Meg on Grella?
You won't see a better highlight for the next 5 to 10
Unbelievable.
years.
Dude, our guy Mehdi, I love Mehdi. He's incredible. He's also like, I mean, if I had to pick
best 5v2 player I've ever played with.
I was going to say top 3 5v2. Mehdi's probably an argument for number 1. And he did Grella so dirty.
Bad. Do you know why it's even better for me? I didn't know that about Mehdi. You got to remember, I'm late to America.
Yeah,
so I played against Mehdi, and he's a clean football player. I knew that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know his thing was nutmeg.
Techers.
I didn't know that. So when I'm watching him do this, and even at the end of that clip, you see, I go in, I'm thinking, nah, I need to take this guy out. He dragged it back on me. If he wanted, he could have got out of that. It's just, I'm lucky he picked up the ball and like threw it away.
Brad,
Mehdi's so smooth.
Before you got to Red Bull, he got T a few times. He got the big man, and he stopped doing it towards the end of the season.
He looked at him like this.
He was like, "Hey, Thierry was not happy about it." Anyways, Brad, dude, we'll get you out of here on this because I know you've been very gracious with your time. We do cover MLS. Last night we talked about MVP candidates. Me and Sash think Anders Dreyer. You think Evander. You and Kev. I want to know from your perspective. You've watched a ton of games. Who's a player that you really love watching that maybe people don't see as much or don't talk about as much and need to keep their eye on?
I like that question. What I'm going to do is I'll start with a striker, and I'll go Alonso Martinez. And I know, you know, my club that I play for and love, like, is Red Bull. But I think Alonso Martinez, I don't think we're even seeing the best of him. His ability to run in behind and get chances. Every week I watch him, I'm like, if you are more clinical, you are in this golden boot rate. Daxi, I would hate to play against him. Hate it. He doesn't stop running. And then when he gets in it, he has a nice clean strike. He has a clear idea of when he gets around the 18-yard box of how to be dangerous, how to frustrate defenders. I just think there's a lot left in that toolbox for Martinez. But if I had to give one player a shout out that doesn't get enough credit, it's Espinoza for San Jose. I think Espinoza, when you're talking about consistency, now I'm not saying you're going to tune in and watch him and see him nutmeg guys and make amazing plays, but when you're talking about consistency, every week turning up, getting assists, getting goals, working back, just being impactful for San Jose, I just think we overlook him too much. Even this year, not going with the All-Stars. If you go check his numbers now, you'll be like, how? Do you know what I mean? So
crazy.
Yeah.
Big, dude, big
Two
snub.
Great shots.
And
Big
by
snub.
the way, for people, we're going to let Brad get out of here on that one. Obviously, very busy guy. He's got some social media influencing to do, I'm sure, this afternoon. Brad, hey, I want to say for everyone listening and watching, you and Lloyd Sam, another Red Bull legend, you guys have your own pod.
Two up top, baby.
Two up top. Tell the people, man, like, when are you guys coming out with a new episode? Where can we find you guys? Like, you guys are hilarious.
Invite? I don't remember.
They don't have guests. Guards, they don't have guests.
We're not at your level yet. We're still working some things out. We'll get to the guests. But you know what it is, Lloyd? You know me and Daxi. You know me and Lloyd. You know, we know each other from England. We get on well. We say that we share the same humor. And every time we used to play Call of Duty, and we'd just be on the mic talking rubbish to each other, bantering. And then we were like, one day we should just record this. We never got to do it. We end up recording once. People liked it, so we just carried on.
No, it's class. You guys are hilarious.
We got a good recording, and actually, I'm going to call you guys out now. We got a good recording that we want to really like get other people's opinion on. So I want to see a Journeyman. Once this is done, I want to send it to Dax, and I want to see your version of it. So
by the way, we don't think of Bradley Wright-Phillips here in MLS as a journeyman because he's a New York Red Bulls legend. This man is a journeyman in England.
You're a snitch, bro.
This man's a journeyman.
You're a snitch, bro. I'm not a journeyman. Couple of
Hey,
clubs.
it's not
Couple
a
of clubs.
bad thing. It's this.
No, it makes sense. I
We're
played for a
taking
few
the word
teams.
back, man.
If
Yeah.
you play
Taking
for
the
more,
word back.
if you play for more clubs than me, you're a journeyman. Okay.
You got
I
to
hear
play
you.
both roles, which is a great perspective, man, because you are a legend in our league and deservedly so. And you got to see the other side of it,
Yeah.
being a role player for a bunch. So
Yeah.
BWP, thank you for the time.
No, thank you guys for
We
having me, man.
genuinely appreciate it. And
Legend,
we'll
man.
catch up with you soon. Keep doing your thing on Apple, man. You're crushing it. You are the star of the show amongst a
I
bunch of
like
minnows.
you, man. I like you a lot, man. I've always liked you, man. No, thank
The
you for having me,
humble, the
guys.
humble,
Appreciate you.
the humble superstar. There he goes. See ya.
See
You
you
can
later,
leave
guys.
now. You can leave now.
How do I
See
get
ya,
out of
buddy.
here? I'll see it.
Exit.
BWP, what a guy, what a class act. He's clearly got more reps in front of the camera than you do, Dak. So you got some work ahead of you, but to catch
He's
up.
class,
But I mean,
man. No, he's
yeah,
class.
man, that was your role, just cleaning up after him, making sure that he stayed in front and took all the glory, which he's
100%.
doing well. I want to talk about. Actually. What I really want to hear is you backpedal on how important the Miami PSG game was now that Miami got smacked. Because I don't know what your exact quote is, but I remember seeing it and being like, whoo, that is a bold statement for Miami going up against one of the...
was it my result thing on It's Called Soccer?
Yes.
Yeah, no, that was
Yes.
bad for sure.
Yeah.
And the sad part is I said 2-1 PSG, and I said
It was
because
not good.
Inter Miami's going to defend well, they've been compact the whole tournament. PSG's going to take their foot off the gas, whatever. Well, PSG did take their foot off the gas in the second half when it was already 4-0, okay?
Yeah, when
and
they
it probably
when they subbed out their entire team.
probably could have been
rough,
8.
man.
Yeah,
it could have
and
easily been 8.
this doesn't have to be some super
So,
high level in-depth
Let me ask you a
conversation.
very
Yeah.
specific question. Do you think that that's a great representation of where we're at?
Yes, 100%. I think that is the perfect representation of where Major League Soccer is at. And Inter Miami can absolutely hold their heads high with what they did in this tournament, with their performance. I think they'll be disappointed that they actually didn't win their group. They were so close. It wasn't the PSG game where everything fell apart. That was expected. We knew they were going to lose that game, right? The gulf in class and quality, it's just too much. It's when they blew their lead up 2-0 in the third group game against Palmeiras, where
Yeah, that was bad.
if you actually win that game, you win your group. You play
Yep.
Botafogo
You
in
skip PSG.
You don't see
Yep.
PSG. You play Botafogo in the round of 16, who's another wonderful team, nowhere close to the level
But
of
it's not
PSG.
PSG,
You
right.
give yourself an actual legitimate chance to win a knockout game. So it was that game where everything fell apart for them. PSG, this is expected. PSG just won the Champions League final against Inter Milan 5-0, okay? This is not some sort of anomaly, right?
No.
And the gulf in class and quality was there for all to see. PSG is the best team in the world, bar none. The things that the Major League Soccer fans, but specifically the Major League Soccer owners can take from this is that we are getting better. We are getting more competitive on a global scale. The Seattle Sounders didn't win a game, but they were competitive in every game, which, look, I don't want participation medals. I don't want participation trophies. But 10 years ago, Gargs, we're not even competitive. In any group game,
I don't. Yeah, I think in certain aspects you might be right there. I think and we both played in some of those games that aren't that game, right? It's not PSG after coming off the Champions League final, but we've played against games that are somewhat meaningful in that space. I also wanted to hear just from you, how do you feel like those players are interpreting that? Because like, yes, the ownership is important. Yes, MLS fans are important. But how does a really meaningful game for a very good team in this league that wanted to win the competition, wants to win the game, how do you feel like they're feeling walking back into that locker room now? Now having been beaten and soundly.
I'd be proud. I'd be proud of my performance in the Club World Cup.
I feel the same way.
I would be like, listen, of course, you want to try to win the game, and Inter Miami is going to do everything they could to win the game. But the gulf in quality is there for all to see, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. PSG can do that to almost any team in the world, so that's nothing to be embarrassed about. But for MLS owners, it's still a stark reminder that we've come a long way in 30 years, but we still have so far to go.
Expand on that. Expand on where you feel like the hole is, because I was talking about this the other day.
It's with depth and it's with
I still
overall
think it's
quality.
depth. I
It's
I,
depth
I
and
agree
overall quality.
completely.
If Inter Miami has more better players that they can bring in off the bench or that they can rotate in and out with some of these superstars, they don't tie that game to Palmeiras, and then they are playing Botafogo in the round of 16. If
Hmm.
they're not going to beat PSG. It was that was never in the cards.
Right.
But
Correct.
you can make the game better. You can make the game more competitive. You can make the game more exciting with better depth and more players that make more money. If you spread the money amongst more good players on a roster instead of just having a boatload of money for Messi, Busquets, Jordi Alba, Suarez on TAM, and then you have to balance that out with a bunch of young players, college
Well, here's the
guys.
thing. Like,
It,
let's talk about this game in
you have to
particular.
open it up.
PSG, and there are. It's not just PSG, because there are plenty of teams in this league that can game plan to take out one, two, three of the best players on the field. You can plan for that, right? And if you
Right.
have a PSG that's coming in and saying, "Hey, Messi's not going to beat us, Suarez is not going to beat us, and Busquets is not going to beat us," it's tough for the rest of that squad to win anywhere because of how deep PSG's roster is. I still, this has been, I mean,
Yeah.
we have been having this discussion for decades now about the need and the desire from the player pool to invest in the player pool as a whole, and
Yes.
really to increase that player number
Spread the money.
6 to
Spread the money. Yeah.
26, spread it out and increase the quality all the way up. It has to happen. And
The Club World Cup was a perfect example for MLS to say, look how far we've come from where we were when I turned pro in 2006 to where we are now,
mm,
19, 20 years later, to still
mm,
how much further we have to go if we're
mm,
serious about competing with the best teams in the world. Because if
mm.
we're not, then what we're doing right now, the status quo is fine. Okay. But if we are, if you're serious about competing with the best teams in the world and being competitive in the transfer market for the best players in the world and being competitive in big competitions, you've got to change the roster rules. You've got to
Do
change
you
the
think that
salary outlay.
is that a realistic ambition? Are we going to
Not
have
right
an
now. Not
no,
right
no, no.
now.
Right. It's not right now, but in the next iteration of MLS, are we, do you think the ownership groups are sitting around
I do.
saying, okay, we want one brand or two clubs or three clubs, whatever, to
To be
be
super
in the
clubs.
echelon of
Yeah.
PSG?
I think that it is more so as a league. I think MLS, they want the best of both worlds, Gargs. They want to keep
Yeah.
that manufactured parity while also competing with the best. And you've got to make a decision because if you want to keep the parity, it's going to be hard to compete with the
You
best
can't
teams. That's a
please
fact.
everybody,
You really
Dax.
can't. That's kind of where I fall. Look, overall, proud of the MLS teams. I thought they showed well, other than maybe LAFC was a little bit disappointing, but full credit to Seattle, LAFC, and Inter Miami. For the most part, it made MLS proud.
Yeah, it is I don't know if my position has changed all that much for what the presentation was of the Club World Cup, but like I told you,
I
I
did win
mean,
the poll. I did win the poll. Apologies.
was there results? I didn't see the results. What were they?
The results were that more people were pleasantly surprised.
We're pleasantly surprised, and that includes me. At some point, there was a possibility of me being pleasantly surprised. I think it took way too long for it
Fair.
to get there. So, I would have liked to have seen just a little bit more production so that more people. And it really wasn't for me. I actually, what was cool? I had a great conversation with my dad that came. He was asking me about the Club World Cup, and we had a really good back and forth. And I said, you know what, Dad, like this is my dad's connected to the game. He followed. Actually, I should have told Bradley Wright this. Ian Wright was my first jersey.
No
My
way.
dad
How
got
you not
me.
say that, dude? Come on, are you a
Um,
rookie? You're not a rookie in this game.
yeah, I should have. Well, I don't want to make Bradley blush, dude. We want him back on. I'll tell him that next time. But anyway, so my dad's connected, like connected
Yeah,
to the game, like he likes it. And I had originally asked him, and I was like, "How do you feel about the Club World Cup?" And he's like, "I love it. I get to go see Man City. Man City's his team."
I knew
And
Papa Guards was a good one.
and I was like, "Okay, well, when's the how much do you know about it?" And he was like, just a little bit." And I was like, "Okay, how about how about your friends? And he's like, well, and he goes into this story, and you'll get a kick out of this from my dad. My dad is a storyteller, and it takes him forever to get to the point. And I was like, Dad, what are you trying to tell me? And he was like, nobody at my club knew what the hell I was talking about, and nobody at the club knew what the hell the Club World Cup was. And
Oh,
that
wow.
is the person that I was disappointed that missed the Club World Cup, because
Yeah.
it's a phenomenal display of whatever is going to come out of it, because we learned so much about our league, about soccer in general, all of it. But the people that still have questions about where we sit or opinions on it, I thought we had an opportunity to get a little bit further along in that conversation. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we didn't. Not the only competition. We did talk about that. And we did talk about the Club World Cup, who, you know,
Gold Cup.
or the Gold Cup. I want to point out again, Dax, and analysts, we have to go out on limbs and make predictions. But
Yeah.
you took a big swing and a miss again in picking Canada. Canada bails out,
Ugh.
which I'm at a point now. I love to see it.
Yeah.
I Canada was like just a non-starter, not even conversation topic for me. I'm now at a point where I hate Canada. I hate
Let's call a spade a spade. Jesse Marsh, their head coach, is turning them into villains.
turning them into villains. Yes,
He
they are
is.
taking on the complexion of their coach very significantly. Watching some of that it was like, oh my God, why are you guys acting like this? Is driving me nuts. Like, I
Yes.
want to get back on the field. So I love to see them
The
lose, but
theatrics are too much at this
they're
point for me.
way too much. And we get
Yeah.
annoyed about this, talking about like the way that the Central Americans play, and the way that
Hmm.
some of that Latin flair comes into the game, and in the embellishment and all that stuff. Dude, the Canadians are doing some of the same stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
what are you guys doing? And
Yeah.
so I'm going to the game on Wednesday. The game on Wednesday is in St. Louis. I was really looking forward to a U.S. Canada battle royale, because
Yep.
the tempers would have been high, the emotion would have been high, but we still get the US, which I'm pumped about. Do you feel good about where they're heading now? Has this furthered your opinion of either Pochettino or of the player pool, or just of the general vibes of the US soccer system?
Before I get to the US Gargs, I just want to hit on Canada really quick because Jesse's
Okay.
comments after the game really bothered me. And you
He
can't
tends to do that.
you can't if from Jesse's perspective, okay? I understand he's passionate, he is, and that filters down through his team. But again, some of these emotions that he wears on his sleeve, they filter into his players. And so some of his comments before the game, he's getting kind of caught up. And I don't know if he was asked this or if he volunteered this information himself, but he's getting caught up in the whole US discourse again and saying things like, I didn't
It's
have
not
any,
for him.
but yeah, but he goes, I didn't have any one of my players call me and ask me to take a break, right?
Yeah,
And
right.
so I just fair. You say that, that's fine. Well, after you lose to Guatemala, you can't go and then say, well, I didn't have half my team. No, 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 no. You are not allowed. No, you cannot say that. And even if
Yep.
it's true, you got hard done by with Porto not letting Estacio join you. Fine. You had injuries to Alfonso Davies and Bombito, so three locked on starters. Fine. Let
Hmm.
other people and analysts talk about that for you. Make that
Right.
excuse for you. You can't do that. Okay? As a coach, you take accountability and you preach
Yes.
accountability and family. Well, you can't then make the comments you make about the US and then go all of a sudden and be like, well, we lost to Guatemala.
Dude,
Yeah, I don't have my whole team,
how does
blah
that
blah
make your
blah. It
team
doesn't
feel? I hate that.
100%.
I hate it,
And
man.
then after he said, I don't have my full team, he goes, but I still have full belief in my guys.
Yeah.
He's just talking
No,
in circles.
no, you
So
don't.
Jesse, you can't do that. You can't do that, okay? And so that bothered me a little bit. And by the way, Jesse, you started Nico Segur and Matthew Chouanier in central midfield, which I'm sure they're wonderful players. You also have Nathan Saliba and Ishmael Kone on the bench, who, in my opinion, is your best midfield with Eustachio not there. Okay,
Mm,
so look in the mirror a little bit, take some accountability. This is also probably on you a little bit. Anyways, that was my overall thought on Canada. They talk a big game. They still haven't really won much, right? For a team who I consider one of the
no.
most talented in the region, probably the most talented in the region at this point, still haven't won a trophy. Okay. So big year ahead for Canada. As far as the U.S. men's national team, Gargs, I still, my feelings are still somewhere the same. I'm underwhelmed, but I'm proud that at least we are able to get results, even if it's ugly. Okay. The
Hmm.
process, the performances, they don't really get me that excited. But you know what gets
When has the Gold Cup though been like a pretty tournament?
yeah, yeah, you're right.
It's
It's a
not.
grind. It's a
It's
knife
not.
fight. It is. Fair enough.
A
But
hundred percent. You're
but
playing the Costa Ricas, you're playing the Guatemalas.
yeah, I
They are
agree.
out for blood and they're good.
But at the same time, there have been moments during the Gold Cup where you see our teams really struggle in the beginning of a tournament, and then they get better as the tournament goes on, as they get
You're
more
right.
reps,
Of
as they
course
get
I
more.
mean it's also a brand new roster.
It is, and that's fair. That's a totally fair point. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure that while I manage expectations, I still hold the
Hmm.
team accountable for what I want to see, and I hold Pochettino accountable for what I want to see. I just don't
Okay.
see really enough dominance, but what I did see was I saw fight, I saw grit, I saw one of my favorite players, Diego Luna, score and like celebrate
Dude,
with the badge and
I
show
love
passion and
Luna. I
celebrate with the
love him.
bench. He's great. I love that. That's
I
the type of
love
stuff.
him.
That's the type of stuff we need. That's the type of stuff I want to see. Matt Freese, doing yourself some big favors here. If you want to stake your claim for the number one goalkeeper job, you made a mistake.
Definitely not the number one goalkeeper.
Yes, who's the number one at this point?
I don't know, but
If
I
Matt,
can't say it's him.
let me volunteer this information to you. If Matt Turner was the number one goalkeeper, or Patrick Schulte, or Ethan Horvath, they would be starting at the Gold Cup right now. Matt Freese is the number one goalkeeper right now. Whether you want to admit that or believe that or not, that's your prerogative. He is, okay? And he stepped up after a mistake against Haiti, balled
Yeah.
out. He guessed right for every single penalty, got his
That
hand on
was
almost
that
every single
dude,
penalty.
that
I
was
mean,
incredible. That
it's
really
an
the PK
insane
shootout was
performance.
incredible and what he did in that PK shootout was phenomenal. I
But
mean, no ifs,
again,
ands, or buts.
it was tremendous. And so, look, it made me, I was on the edge of my seat. In the studio, we had a little break. I was watching penalties. I was like this.
Yeah.
I was locked
Yeah.
in. I was like nervous. I was like, oh, Tolkien, you blew it. You skied it over. Oh, I forgot who else missed. Oh, I'm like, oh,
Berhalter missed.
Berhalter. They show
Yeah.
Greg and the fam in the stands. I mean, that was
Dude, how
emotional,
many deep
right?
breaths did Berhalter take? He took like
Oh,
6 deep breaths, and I was like, oh
yeah, he
man,
did.
he's blowing this. He
I
don't feel
tell you,
good.
yeah, and that's the funny thing, right? It's like everyone who's watching the penalties, they're analyzing,
Hmm.
like, ooh, he looks nervous. Ooh, he looks
Yep.
calm. You know who looked
Yep.
calm?
Yeah.
Alex Freeman. What
Yeah.
I love this kid.
Dude, he did.
He's such a player, man. He's such a
I
good
didn't love him
player.
in the game though.
He's good. He's just raw and he's young. And I don't think Pochettino is using him properly. I think Pochettino needs to let him spread his wings like he does with Orlando. He's holding him in a little bit as one of the third center backs. I think Pochettino can make some tactical adjustments as in let Alex Freeman go and fly forward, right? Like let him do his thing. He's shown that he can be dangerous. Chris Richards, still really impressed with him. I still
Yep.
believe that he is the
Is
most
Chris
important.
Richards and Tim Ream, is that our starting center back combo?
I don't think so. I don't think it can be. What I don't really understand, and we had this conversation in the green room. It's like, I think Pochettino, he relies on Tim Ream because he knows he has Chris Richards and he knows he has Tim Ream and they have Premier League experience. And Pochettino
They're a
knows
pretty
them
good
from the Prem.
partnership though.
They are. They're a good partnership. I just don't think Gargs at the World Cup, if you're playing against better competition, I just don't, I don't think Tim, and by the way, Tim is great. I love Tim, right? He hasn't been in the best form this year, and he's going to be a year older. So when you play against these teams that are just super dynamic and quick and fast, yeah, he can read the game. But again, his strengths aren't covering space in behind. His strengths are
No.
building out of the back, dominating possession. The
Yep.
US, they don't do that. Like, we just don't do that against better teams. We need to play more in transition, and we need to have athletic center backs that are able to cover space in behind.
Yeah,
I,
but
I
here's
think
the thing.
Richards
Okay, but
starts.
Richards is your number one center back, right?
Yep,
So then your decision just comes down as who's the best complement to him.
true. Very true. And I still think against the best teams, the most athletic teams, where you're not going to have as much of the ball, and I don't think we should ask our center backs to be playing out of the back against better teams. Still think it's Miles Robinson. Still think Miles Robinson
Miles
offers you.
Robinson is in camp
I know he is. That's my
on the
point. I
bench.
I still think Pochettino at this moment in this Gold Cup trusts Tim Ream more. You're asking me about his partner in the World Cup. I'm telling you
Yeah.
right now, I don't think it will be Tim in the World Cup. Maybe it will be. I don't
But
know.
you're saying it's Miles Robinson, a guy who's there that would
At
or could be getting reps alongside Chris Richards?
at this point, I think Miles Robinson will eventually work his way into the conversation. I don't know who it is, to be completely honest. I
Yeah.
really don't. But it's to your point. I'm contradicting myself because I made the point about Matt Freese and Matt Turner. So fair enough. But
Yeah.
again, I do think goalkeeper is a little bit different than center back. Tim has been fine during this Gold Cup. I just think it's going to come down to form and who Pochettino trusts and game by game.
Yeah.
I just went on forever there. Do you have any takes from the Gold Cup?
Any left? Are there any left to
There
take?
are. Listen, I have all the great takes and make all the great points, and then I leave you scraps, okay? And you could disagree with
Uh,
me. I know you don't want to agree with me, but
no, I agree. I actually agree with a lot of what you're saying. I do think that Chris Richards has solidified himself as probably our number one center back. I think that we will see just to corroborate some of your points. I think we'll actually see Tim Ream in a lineup in the World Cup. I don't think that he will be the consistent piece, but
I can
I
see him
think that
starting a group stage game against a weaker team. 100%.
Yep. I don't know who that is though. I don't know what the partnership will look like. I don't think that Matt Freese is the number one, but I also don't have a number one for you to offer. I just don't think that there's one there. I think what he did in the PK shootout has probably put him on the World Cup roster. And that's saying a lot. Now,
Yep.
who the where the rest of it is, you know, we've been around goalkeepers
Form.
enough.
I think it's
It's the
about
hot
form.
hand. That's
There
it.
is no
It's
there is no
it
Tim Howard. There is no Casey
right.
Keller. There is no Brad Friedel. You have the let's call it what it is. You have the worst goalkeeping pool that we've had in US men's national team for the last 40 years.
I wouldn't call it the worst. I would call it maybe the most inexperienced.
I think you're nuts. Look, you want to go? Do you want to go
We
through the list of goalkeepers we've had the last 40 years?
No, because I
Tony
know who they
Meola,
are, and
Brad
I
Friedel,
think they're all
Casey
very
Keller,
good. Right.
Tim
Those
Howard.
are all tier one goalkeepers, right? I don't think that we
Correct.
have a tier one goalkeeper right now, but
So what
I
I said
wouldn't
is fact. So what I said is factually correct. Thank you.
no, not even close. If you're gonna take, you said we have the worst goalkeeping pool in the history of the U.S. men's national team. I disagree with that.
In relation to our starting goalkeeper.
So that's a starting goalkeeper. I think we don't have a clear starting goalkeeper, but that's not a goalkeeping pool. Those are two different
Okay,
things.
well, whatever. Our goalkeeping pool is not strong enough to produce a starting goalkeeper that you are confident in. You don't know who a
Yeah.
starting goalkeeper
So
is.
I guess
That's the first time in 40 years that we can say that.
the base of my argument is I think that the U.S. actually is producing better high level goalkeepers than we ever have been because it's a position that we're very good at. So we have a lot of
Disagree.
very young B
Wholeheartedly
level
disagree. Vehemently
goalkeepers.
disagree. I knew we would get to a point in the show where we were just going to be diametrically
How about
opposed.
who's the kid that just went to Chelsea from Chicago?
Slanina?
Yeah. Is that not good? That's not good. How about we
How
got
many games? How many games has he played for Chelsea?
Horvath. We got Matt Turner. That's what I'm saying. Inexperienced. We're not there yet. What are these kids are like 20 years old, Dax.
Okay. Call me in 10 years when they are at the level of a Tim Howard or a Brad Friedel or a
Okay.
Casey
And
Keller.
in 10 years when Tim Howard became Tim Howard at 30 years old, yeah, I agree.
I would love for you to keep going so I can look up how old Tim Howard was when he was at Manchester United, the biggest club in the world, just so I
And
can
was he starting? Let's
put a
find
pie.
out.
Yes, he was starting. Let's go. Go. You have to keep talking though because this
Do
is
I?
a
Okay.
podcast with
I do
media.
like, you know who I like? I like one thing did stick out to me. Tillman. I thought that Tillman should have been brought off in the
Yeah.
game. And it somewhat disappointed me, but it also I'm on a straddle the fence here. I thought he should have been taken off, and he I think was one of the culprits for the game tying goal against Costa Rica, where he played a ball, then he didn't track back, and then he didn't track back again, and he's now starting to act a little bit like the
Yeah.
superstar. I saw some of the superstar traits, as in like I don't need to do the extra work, which I didn't like to see. Um, but in saying that, I also think that he's got an abundance of confidence from this tournament and deserved,
Yeah.
which I'm intrigued to see how him and Diego Luna fit into the mix. Because when him and Diego Luna fit into the mix somewhere, the combinations that Luna is capable of, he's a different profile than we have anywhere else on the field in our
Agreed.
pool. I don't think that anybody's there. So that's going to be a fun one because his confidence at a young age it's silly.
So
Uh,
Tim Howard was 24 years old, FYI. Matt Freese is 26 right now.
I don't think Matt Freese is our number one. So I'm talking about.
Matt Turner's 30. Who else do you think is our number one?
I don't think we have a number one. I already said that.
Yeah, but your argument is ludicrous.
No, it's not. You know it's not ludicrous.
It's
We have a
ludicrous.
ton of goalkeepers overseas playing in high-level environments.
We don't have
on high-level teams.
We
never had that.
We don't have a world-class goalkeeper.
One. In the history of our goalkeeping program, we've always had one goalkeeper, whether that's Friedel or Keller or Tim Howard.
I tell you what, I'll make sure to send this clip to Brad Guzan and Nick Raimondo. Game, set, match.
No,
Dax
they're very good goalkeepers. Nick and Brad are very good goalkeepers.
There we go. Where are you going to go with this?
They're not Tim Howard.
Yeah, I know, but Brad Guzan, you would trust him to play in a World Cup.
Where was Brad Guzan playing at 20 years old?
Aston Villa.
South Carolina.
He was at Aston Villa when he was
Chivas
25.
USA.
But again, he was a starting Premier League goalkeeper in his low to mid 20s.
I think that we will see out of this pool goalkeeper. We will see them there.
I've just destroyed you in this.
I don't know about that. I think across the board,
it's all in good fun. What a show.
Did I have any other takes? I don't think I had any other takes.
No.
But I am going to the game on Wednesday, which I am excited to see. St. Louis is a good environment. It's a good environment for the game. It's a good environment for the U.S. fan. It's loud. It's rowdy. Have you been to St. Louis yet?
What do you mean? I played in the
as an analyst though. Have you been like in the stands?
No, never.
No, you haven't. It's a great place to watch a game.
Is it at City SC Stadium?
It is. Yeah. So they're
awesome.
there. They're there. I think actually they get in today. So they're training at City. They'll be there for the next couple of days. Guatemala comes in.
By the way, how great have the Guatemalan fans been?
They've been awesome, and they will be in attendance in St. Louis as well. I mean, they travel well. It'll be a fun environment. You know, I've told you this before. St. Louis, the bottom bowl stands the whole game. So it's one of the environments in MLS that has, you know, a next level to it. Now, I don't know how much of St. Louis City's fans will translate to the U.S. soccer fan, because I'm sure they'll come in for that game and travel from. But it'll be a good one. I wanted to see Canada US.
Me too. I did too. But hey, man, give Guatemala their shine, man. It's their moment. It's fantastic.
Marco Papa.
Hey, maybe we should let Gordo go camping more often.
I'm pretty sure Gordo's been camping for like 10 years now.
Yeah.
Dax, that was fun. Bradley, we appreciate you. Journeymen, we will see you again soon. Adios.